What if the universe wasn't out there, but in here? What if the stars, the planets, and the very fabric of reality itself were reflections, echoes of the mind? Welcome, soul traveler, to a journey into one of the oldest, most enigmatic principles of esoteric wisdom. Today, we unveil a truth hidden in plain sight, yet forgotten by most. This is the law of mentalism, the first and foundational principle of Hermetic philosophy. Unlike the doctrines of modern science or the dogmas of organized religion, this law whispers a secret carried across millennia, cloaked in symbolism and preserved in mystery schools, temples, and sacred texts. It is not simply a metaphysical theory, it is the origin of all creation, the key to understanding not only the cosmos but your very soul. Today, we will unearth its meaning, explore its implications, and perhaps awaken a deeper truth within. So sit back, breathe, and prepare to remember what your soul has always known. Our story begins in ancient Egypt, in a world where gods walked beside humans, where temples aligned with the stars, and where spiritual knowledge was guarded like a precious flame. In this world lived a figure so enigmatic, so shrouded in myth, that his name became synonymous with wisdom itself: Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice great master. To some, he was the Greek god Hermes, to others, the Egyptian Thoth. But to the adepts of Hermeticism, he was a bridge, a conduit between divine wisdom and human understanding. At the heart of his teachings lies a principle so fundamental, it is said to govern all others. The all is mind, the universe is mental. These are the opening words of the Kybalion, a 1908 book that revived Hermetic teachings for the modern world. But they are far older than their publication. They echo across the tablets of Atlantis, the temples of Kemet, and the scrolls of Alexandria. But what does it mean for the universe to be mental? Is it merely metaphor, or does it hold the key to mastering reality itself? To understand the law of mentalism, we must first abandon the illusion that matter is primary. The senses deceive us, making us believe in the solidity of the world. Yet modern physics agrees with ancient mystics. Everything we perceive as material is energy, vibration, information. But the Hermeticists went further. They claimed that behind all energy is consciousness, a universal, infinite, creative mind. They called this mind the All. The All is not a god in the traditional sense. It has no form, no name, no beginning, and no end. It is not separate from creation. It is creation. Everything that exists within the All, as thoughts within a grand cosmic mind. You too are a thought of the All. If this sounds poetic, it is. But it is also deeply practical. For if all is mind, then reality is not something you experience passively. It is something you participate in. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your imagination, they are not internal fantasies. They are the seeds of reality. In many creation myths, the universe begins with sound, or light, or word. In the book of Genesis, God said, "Let there be light." In the Rig Veda, the universe is born from a sacred utterance, but all these acts of creation begin not with action, but with thought. The Hermetic law of mentalism asserts that everything begins as a mental image. Just as an architect conceives a building in the mind before it rises in stone and steel, so too did the All conceive the cosmos before stars and galaxies came into form. But this is not distant mythology. It is happening now, within you. Every thought you think sends ripples into the field of creation. Your beliefs shape your perceptions, which in turn shape your actions, which shape your reality. You are not a passive observer. You are the projector of the film, not just the audience. Mentalism teaches that your inner world is not private. It is generative. This is not a new idea. Great minds across time have echoed it. We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. The Buddha. Imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions. Albert Einstein. If the universe is mental, then reality is a dream, a lucid dream sustained by the divine mind. And what is a dream? A reality so immersive, so vivid, that it feels undeniably real, yet arises entirely from the mind of the dreamer. In that moment, the boundaries between self and world blur, and the seeming solidity of objects fades into the fluid dance of perception and imagination. The dream feels real, yet it is woven from thought, belief, and awareness. The mystics of Tibet understood this deeply. Through the practice of dream yoga, they trained themselves to become conscious within the dream itself, to recognize the illusory nature of the dream while still inside it. Their goal was not to flee the dream or dismiss it as false, but to awaken within it, to dance with it knowingly, wielding awareness as a tool rather than being tossed helplessly by its currents. This ancient wisdom echoes the law of mentalism. Life itself is a dream, and our highest task is to become lucid within it. Lucidity does not mean detachment or denial of the world. It is not an escape hatch from reality, but rather a mastery of it. To awaken is to see clearly that the external world is no separate entity, but a mirror reflecting the contents of your inner landscape. Your fears ripple outward as shadows, your desires cast shapes upon the world, and your expectations sculpt the contours of experience. Just as the moon pulls the ocean's tides, your mind's movements pull the tides of reality. This realization carries profound power and humility. You are not a passive witness to life's unfolding, but an active participant, a co-creator in this shared dream. Yet, this is not solipsism. You are not the lone dreamer of a solitary world. Rather, you are one conscious node in a vast web of minds, each contributing its own thread to the collective tapestry of reality. The dream is woven by many, yet each thread is essential. Consider how your thoughts ripple beyond your own consciousness. A single idea can spark a revolution or soothe a grieving heart. Collective beliefs shape societies, cultures, and even the course of history. The stories we tell ourselves, the myths we uphold, the fears we propagate, they all feed into the dream, coloring the fabric of what becomes real. This is why awakening is not just personal, it is profoundly collective. As more individuals learn to become lucid within their own lives, the shared dream shifts, awareness expands, and with it, the possibility of creating a world grounded in truth, compassion, and creative intention. Lucid dreaming is not about control, but about harmony, moving with the flow of existence while consciously choosing how to engage with its currents. It is about recognizing that the dream will continue, but you can shape its narrative. You are not a helpless passenger. You are the awakened dreamer, the artist painting on the canvas of existence. When you embrace this truth, life becomes a sacred play, a dance of awareness and intention. Every encounter, every challenge, every joy is an opportunity to deepen your lucidity and expand your mastery over the dream. The world is waiting for us to wake up, not from the dream, but within it. Mentalism offers both a gift and a challenge. The gift is power. The challenge is responsibility. It sounds simple, almost too simple. All is mind. But within that statement lies a thunderous truth. You are not separate from your experience. You are its source, its author, its unseen architect. Not in a way that blames, but in a way that empowers. If the world is a reflection, then you are not its victim. You are its mirror maker. But mirrors are merciless. They do not flatter. They do not lie. They simply reflect what is. And so the law of mentalism becomes a sword that cuts both ways. It liberates you from helplessness, but it also strips away the comfort of projection. For if all is mind, then your suffering, your limitations, your fears, your failures, they are not accidents. They are not curses from the outside. They are echoes of your inner world. This is not always easy to accept. The ego recoils. It wants to find fault out there, in people, in systems, in fate. It wants to escape the mirror. It wants to be innocent in the face of pain. And in truth, you are innocent, but not powerless. The universe does not punish. It reflects. The law is clear. What you hold in consciousness, you meet in experience. The outer world is a canvas, and thought is the brush. Belief is the color. Emotion is the texture. And most of us are painting unconsciously, wondering why the image disturbs us. To realize this is not to blame yourself, it is to awaken. This is why the ancient traditions, mystical, philosophical, esoteric, have always emphasized self-inquiry. Not because the self is flawed, but because it is powerful. To know oneself is not a luxury, it is the key to reality. If your life feels like a loop, if pain repeats, if joy feels distant, The law of mentalism invites you to look inward, not outward. Examine the stories you've inherited, the wounds you've buried, the assumptions you've never questioned. Ask, what am I believing right now? What image of myself am I projecting into the mirror of the world? Because what is unhealed within will appear outside, again and again, not to punish, but to be seen. This is not magical thinking. It is meta-thinking. The recognition that before every situation, every person, every emotion, there is a thought, a pattern, a vibration, and you are the one vibrating. You are the center of the web. It does not mean you control everything that happens, but it does mean you influence how it happens to you. It means your internal reality colors every external event. It means your consciousness acts as a filter, a lens, a magnet. You are not a random node in a cold machine. You are a conscious point of power in an intelligent field. And the field responds. It must. It mirrors your frequency, not because it loves or judges, but because it is you. And from this place, you can choose. You can choose a new story, a new vibration, a new frequency, not by force, but by honesty, by becoming aware of what you've believed without question, and deciding whether it still serves you. This is not about pretending pain doesn't exist. It is about meeting pain with consciousness, not about denying the past, but about releasing its grip on the present. Not about chasing positivity, but about cultivating clarity. Because the moment you see clearly, the mirror changes. The same life, the same relationships, the same world suddenly look different. Not because the outer world has shifted, but because you have. And as your consciousness evolves, so too does the reflection. You are the thinker behind the thought, the dreamer behind the dream, the awareness behind the image, the sky behind the clouds. This is the forgotten art of mind, not to control life, but to collaborate with it, to understand that you are not a fixed self reacting to a static world. You are a fluid presence, shaping and being shaped in every moment. The mirror does not lie, but it can be transformed. And the moment you take responsibility for the reflection, you reclaim your role as creator, not of illusions, but of alignment, not of fantasy, but of truth. So look into the mirror, not with judgment, but with reverence. For what you see is not just your face, it is your frequency, and you can always choose to reflect something new. The Hermetic path is one of transformation, and transformation begins with the mind. The ancient alchemists sought to turn lead into gold, but the wise knew this was a metaphor. The real gold was consciousness. The real lead was ignorance, fear, and conditioning. Mentalism is the first law of spiritual alchemy. To transform reality, begin with thought. There are 3 steps. Step 1, observation. Become aware of the thoughts and beliefs you carry. Step 2, purification. Release the false, the limiting, the inherited. Step 3, creation. Consciously install new patterns that reflect your highest truth. This is not a quick process. It is a practice, a discipline, a devotion. But over time, your reality becomes luminous, aligned with your soul, not your shadow. Mentalism does not promise comfort, it promises truth. And with truth comes liberation. As individuals, we dream our personal lives, our joys, our fears, our memories. They weave the stories we call identity. But these stories do not unfold in isolation. We are not solitary flames, burning alone in the dark. We are sparks of a greater fire. We are minds within a greater mind. This is the collective mind, a vast field of shared thought, belief, and emotion that shapes the very fabric of human experience. The law of mentalism reveals its hidden scaffolding, that what we think together, we become together. That the world we call real is not just built from matter, but molded from shared mental patterns. Culture, media, religion, education, these are the tools with which we sculpt the collective psyche. They are not merely information systems, they are dream-weaving mechanisms. They construct the boundaries of the possible. They decide what we call true, what we call good, what we call normal. The stories we repeat, the images we consume, the language we speak, all feed the collective field. We are breathing in the mind of the world every day, and we are exhaling into it, shaping it with every word, every thought, every silent assumption. This is why narrative is power, not just political or commercial power, but metaphysical power. Those who shape the story shape the dream. A myth can live longer than a kingdom. A belief can bend reality more than a sword. Wars do not begin with weapons. They begin with ideas. Ideas that divide. Ideas that dehumanize. Ideas that tell us who the enemy is, who deserves what, who belongs and who does not. The battlefield is secondary. The true conflict always begins in the mind. And likewise, revolutions do not begin in the streets. They begin in consciousness. When a critical mass of minds starts to question the old dream, the fabric of the collective reality begins to tear. What was once seen as unchangeable begins to dissolve. What once felt like fate becomes a choice. This is why propaganda works, why slogans can become mantras, why mass media is not merely entertainment but entrainment, the rhythmic pulsing of thought patterns into the collective psyche. Repetition becomes truth. Visibility becomes validity. We begin to mistake the loudest thought for the truest one. And this is why advertising shapes behavior more effectively than law. Because it bypasses logic and speaks directly to the symbolic mind. It does not sell a product, it implants a story about identity, success, beauty, and belonging. A story we carry, often unconsciously, into the marketplace of life. And yet, not all stories enslave, some liberate. The enduring myths, the great archetypes, the sacred symbols, they are not shackles but keys. They open inner doors. They awaken ancient truths. They speak not to the ego, but to the soul. This is why a single quote, a single poem, a single image can ignite a revolution inside, because it resonates with something already known, something buried beneath layers of forgetting. Throughout history, those who understood the law of mentalism, whether mystics, visionaries, or manipulators, have wielded this knowledge to shape civilization. They knew that if you can influence the mental field, you can shape the material world. Some used this understanding for wisdom, healing, and upliftment. They became guides, prophets, and poets, planting seeds of truth in the fertile ground of human thought. Others used it for control, feeding the collective mind with fear, scarcity, and division. They became rulers, warlords, and false prophets, sowing illusions that chained entire societies. But now, something ancient stirs again. The awakening is no longer solitary. It is collective. More and more souls are remembering the forgotten law. They are seeing through the cracks in the story. They are questioning what they've been told to believe about reality, about others, about themselves. They are realizing that reality is not fixed. It is fluid, and thought is the brush that paints it. This realization is not just philosophical. It is revolutionary, because it returns power to where it has always belonged, the mind. And not just the individual mind, but the unified field of mind that connects us all. When enough of us remember this truth, the dream begins to shift. It does not require violence. It does not demand conquest. It only requires alignment, a subtle, silent frequency shift within the collective, a new pattern of thought, vibrating with truth, with beauty, with compassion. This is how true change happens, not by force, but by frequency. Each awakened mind becomes a tuning fork, resonating with a higher reality. And as these minds come into harmony, a new collective song begins to emerge, one not based on fear, but on remembering. The mind of humanity is changing. The dream is stirring. The old structures built on separation and scarcity are beginning to tremble. And in their place, something luminous is rising, not imposed from above, but born from within. A world shaped not by domination, but by imagination, not by control, but by co-creation. You are part of that collective awakening, and the thoughts you think today echo into the dream of tomorrow. Choose them with love, shape them with clarity, offer them like prayers to the infinite sky of mind. Because the world we share is the mind we share, and the dream we dream together is the life we live together. So where does this path lead? What happens when the soul fully integrates the law of mentalism? It returns to the all, not in death, but in consciousness. This is not an escape from the world, nor a denial of form. It is the realization that form was never separate from the formless, that the universe was never something out there, but always something within, projected by the infinite canvas of the mind. The mystics called it non-dual awareness. The Buddhists named it Rigpa, the naked recognition of the mind's pure nature. The Hermeticists understood it as union with the all, the final unveiling, where the illusion of separateness dissolves like mist under the morning sun. In this return there is no drama, no fanfare, just silence and clarity. It is the moment the drop remembers it is the ocean, not as metaphor, but as direct experience. The wave, once believing itself to be alone, recognizes that it was always water, always movement within something still, always expression within the one, and yet nothing changes outwardly. The sun still rises, the body still breathes, life goes on, but inwardly, everything is transformed. The lens of perception, once clouded by fear and identity, becomes transparent. Reality reveals itself as what it has always been, a dream within mind, luminous and alive. Here the dreamer awakens, not from the dream, but within it. There is no longer a desperate need to control or to grasp. Creation becomes effortless because it is no longer forced. The self no longer struggles to manifest, it allows. Intention arises not from egoic craving, but from alignment with the rhythm of the all. There is no longer resistance between thought and form. What is seen inwardly flows outwardly, like a river meeting the sea. Synchronicity becomes the norm. Reality begins to mirror the quiet harmony of the awakened mind. At this stage, intent becomes reality, not through effort, but through resonance. There is no longer a gap between the thought and its manifestation, for the mind is no longer divided. It is singular, clear, and in communion with the source. The boundaries between desire and fulfillment blur, and what arises is not craving, but a natural impulse toward beauty, truth, and wholeness. The law of mentalism is not new, it is not secret, but it is forgotten. Forgotten because we have been trained to look outward instead of inward, to seek power in systems, not in self, to trust the material more than the mental. But now you remember. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the thinker of thoughts, the perceiver of perceptions, the creator of your world. So ask yourself, what are you dreaming? What reality are you feeding with your attention? And what might change if you truly believed that all is mind? The path begins now. Share this journey with those ready to remember, and keep exploring, for the mysteries run deep, and the mind is infinite.